pretty much, you know, 75% of the track there is just going to be already mixed, already done. Those faders will not get touched. They're just going to be left up, playing, and it's all done right in front of me. Hey guys, Andy Pickering here. So on today's video you're going to witness me make my Magnum Opus. In my opinion, it's the best sounding analog production that I've ever done to date. So I did a video called It's All About the Writing Then Have Fun, and this is the song that we're going to do today. So I'd encourage you, if you've not seen that video, I'll link it below, to go and watch that, because it's basically a part one to this video. And there I'll talk a little bit more about the song. I perform the song live on the piano, and then I write the arrangement as I'm recording. So the benefits to that is basically I've gone into this session with a fully fleshed out song, pretty much all the parts and the ideas already written. So it's just a case of taking my 8-track to Joe Montague's studio. All you need is drums, and then enlisting the help of him, Chris Mulligan on bass and guitar, who also works at Joe's studio, and then me playing live keys, a vintage Wurlitzer absolute treat. We tracked all the stuff live to my Tascam 38 in his studio, stereo drums, Wurlitzer bass, did a couple of overdubs, then I brought the tape back here and did the session, finished off all the vocals and overdubs. So I'm super excited to share the fact that I filmed the entire process and how I brought it all together. Now, if you've been watching my videos before, you'll start to see a pattern of where I work in a certain way and I do certain things at certain times, and it all just comes together where, you know, like I say, finished things are just on the faders, and the mix at the end is just a really enjoyable experience because you've already done all the hard work at the front end. Okay, so the song. As I've just said, there was a video made about explaining the song and demoing it, but I'll just do a brief overview here if you don't want to watch that video. So, Hangxiety's home. Hangxiety is hangover anxiety, and waking up in the morning after a heavy night out of drinking and worrying about the people you offended, the ex-girlfriends you might have messaged, and then in the middle eight kind of going, I used to be able to do this when I was younger, why can't I do it now? Just a fun little song, and done in a very Zombies kind of 60s way. So let's hear a clip of the original demo, piano, just me. When I awoke, feeling so calm, and I awoke things from the night. Now let's hear a clip of the demo that was recorded in the video, that is linked below. When I awoke, feeling so calm, and I awoke things from the night. And now let's hear a sneak peek of what we're going to be doing in this video. When I awoke, feeling so calm, and I awoke things from the night. So let's get on with this and get into what's on the tape and enjoy. Okay, here we go then. So I'm going to present this particular video a little bit different to how I've done ones in the past, where we're sort of beginning now, but I've actually already done the session, and as I talk about the session I'm going to flash back and edit in some of the footage from it, so we're right up to speed. So the session was 4 tracks live, drums, bass and keyboards. Vintage Wurlitzer keyboard there, not a Nord. And this was what was done live in the room, as you'll see now. Okay, so, and what we got here is we had a finished stereo drum mix from Joe's rig, which had also a room mic as well, so the bass and keyboards were picked up live with the room mic, and that's on the drum mix there, and that is, you know, all going through his compressors and outboard, and you know, his finished sound is basically on these two tracks. And there is the Wurlitzer and then the bass, and that's what we ended up with for the basic track. Now we performed 2 overdubs, one of which was percussion. All 3 of us did the percussion, so me, Joe and Chris. I'll show you some footage of that now. And then Chris, on our final overdub of the session, did some electric guitar. On track 6. Okay, so, and here is our rhythm track ready to work with. Okay, so my plan for this is to record to tape, stereo reverb essentially, actually on the tape, and then I'm going to mix all of these 8 tracks and bounce them down to start a new session. So then that'll free me up 6 tracks to finish up this song. So I'm going to do that by recording each reverb completely 100% wet of the mix. First on 7, which will be the left channel, then on 8. And like I say, the reverb will be on the tape, which is, in my opinion, the nicest way to do it. And when you don't have stereo reverb, as I've only got 1 unit, it's the only way I can do it by recording them separately. And then I'm going to mix onto the Hifi VHS, which is, you know, a transparent way of recording with no noise, but keeping it analog. And then we're going to mix back into fresh tape and finish it off. So let's get on with this reverb. Okay, so how we're achieving this reverb is everything is bussed to 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, which is here, which is like essentially 1 is left and 2 is right. Everything from 1, the left hand channel, is being sent out here, which is bus number 1. And it's going through my patch bay here, which is firstly linking the tube EQ, take off the low end, because you don't want low end on spring reverb. It does absolutely nothing for it other than takes up a lot of the frequency response and doesn't do anything for the bass other than make it noisy. And then we're reverbing it 100% wet and compressing the reverb, as compression makes the reverb last longer and seem bigger, which means in the mix you can use less of it and therefore keep more of the integrity of the original instruments, which is what you want when you're doing effects. So yep, that's all been taken care of here. And then finally, the last point of call, which is coming out of the compressor, is this black cable here, and that is going into track 7 on here. And you will be able to see I've got track 7 selected there. We head into my submix here, where absolutely everything's turned down apart from 7, so I can hear what's actually coming from the tape recorder. And there we have, on its own, doesn't sound very nice, but once that's blended with everything, that's going to be great. And we're going to rinse and repeat and do the exact same thing for 8. And when I do the exact same thing for 8, the only thing that I'll have to change is the bus out on the back, and then down there I'll just have to change this cable out of 7 into 8, and that's it. Okay, the VHS recorder, Hifi VHS recorder, is on the meter bridge. So these are the tapes that I'm using, super high quality, the best quality that I could find, and they were brand new and they sound great. I mean, like I say, it's completely transparent recording like this, and that's exactly what I want for a bounce. I want it to capture the exact sound of what I'm recording without adding anything, but also without really taking away anything, so that when I record this back into here, I'm hardly losing anything at all. Okay, so it's all mixed down now, and I just did a mix of everything with obviously my reverb in the correct place, and you know, a little bit of moving things in and out, mainly just the keyboards and the guitar that I was just trying to balance out as we were going through the song. So some bits need to come up a little bit, some need to go down a little bit. I dropped the keyboards out of the first verse, things like that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to record this into my DAW so that you can hear, as I press play now on this tape, the exact audio that's coming from this Hifi VHS, and hear the quality of this backing track that we've now just finished. So this is the proper audio coming from the VHS and won't be captured through the phone camera. Okay, right, there we go. So I've had a good listen to it. I've checked everything through on headphones, really important at this stage when you're about to, you know, mix down onto a fresh bit of tape and you've committed to all that. Just make sure everything's sounding good. I'm going to record that now. We're at the halfway point onto the reel-to-reel from the VHS. Get on with some overdubs, and I think we're on to a good one here. So let's go. As you can see, we're back there just on the 2 channels, and this is what it's all about for me. You know, the limitations that we're working within create this unbelievable sort of luxury life now where I'm not going to even have to do anything with that. When I'm mixing this down, pretty much, you know, 75% of the track there is just going to be already mixed, already done. Those faders will not get touched. They're just going to be left up, playing, and it's all done right in front of me. Honestly, that's way easier than spending hours and hours editing on a DAW, and with much more satisfying results in my opinion. Right then, ready for some overdubs. I've got my instruments ready. 3 overdubs in total is what I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to go for acoustic guitar, as you can see, and piano to start with, and they're both going to be using this microphone, which is my Joe Meek JM47, and I'm going to be adding reverb to both of those, so they're going to be preamp coming down here, and I'm going to be compressing and then putting some, yeah, maybe some touches of EQ, and yeah, reverb actually recorded onto the tracks. And then to finish off with, I'm going to do some Vox organ for some textures, and that'll be it. Bar the vocals, that'll be it music wise, completely done. So let's get on with that. Right then, overdubs completed. Let's see what we've got on the tape. Original VHS bounce. Everything's muted at the moment. We've got acoustic. Organ. And there's some piano. There's the 3 overdubs on their own. So basically, yeah, as you saw in the video of me filming myself playing the organ, I was doing something a lot busier than that. But it wasn't really working with the track, so I've just had to keep it really simple stabs like that. And the piano is very minimum as well, just comes in and out. Because realistically, the original set of music that we did at the start before the overdubs is the whole track. It's got everything there, so these overdubs are just minimal, you know. Okay, vocals time then. The Electro Voice RE10 is set up. I'm actually going to record with the audio coming out of the speakers. And this mic has a great rejection, so it can pretty much get away with not picking up hardly any of the speakers on the recording. And it just makes me a little bit more comfortable than headphones to do, hopefully, a better vocal take. This microphone is just going straight into the preamp on there. Remember, these are transformer inputs, so it's a lovely, strong, warm preamp. And then I'm going through the 1176 clone compressor there for some pretty heavy-ish compression, and then straight onto the tape. And then I'm going to do the same again and double track it before I go into effects after I've done the vocals. When I awoke, feeling so gone, and I awoke things from the night. Okay. And what I did wrong. Double track vocal. Finding someone. Just leave them alone. Okay, time to record some tape delay. So I've got my Tascam 32 2B set up there. I'm going to be running this at 15 inches a second, which is going to give me a bit more, well, it's the traditional slapback, so hopefully it's going to give me a bit more of the kind of slapback effect that I'm after. So what I'm going to do is use one of these channels here that already has something on it, has an organ on it, but I'm just going to use the channel for the delay. So we've got the double track vocal there that we've just done, and we're sending that to bus number 3. And bus number 3 has a direct out, and that's coming down here into my EQ. Now I'm EQing it before it hits the reverb, then it hits the compressor, then it hits the tape, which causes the delay. Now it's actually recording the effect the other way around. Sometimes I do tape delay, then effect. I'm not sure how much difference it makes, but I'm just experimenting here. It seems more complicated than it is once you get your head round routing and how to route your desk through your effects through, you know, well, I mean, that's a tape machine but classed as an effect. You just get used to it, you know. Then leave me alone, 'cause you know. Okay, that's recorded down now. So that effect is there, and the dry vocals are there. And I'm very happy with that. But, and there's a big but, there's a Kim Kardashian sized big but, and I'm telling you, I've run out of tracks. I wanted to do the bounce while the effect wasn't actually recorded onto the tape and doing it live, and I tried it out a couple of times. Sounding a bit thin, I was just not getting the right blend, so I need that control of having it on the track and blending it with the full double tracked original dry vocals to keep the integrity. So I'm going to have to bounce it now, the vocals, over the organ, then redo the organ, which I didn't plan for, but that's just how it goes in recording sometimes. As I am about to erase over a track that I don't want to erase over to bounce the vocals down, and basically the whole song's done apart from a couple of backing vocals, I'm going to have to back this up because I don't want to get to a position where the organ's not right again, or like I wipe out for something and something goes wrong. Like I've got to a point where I've got the full arrangement, it's done. This is just going to give me an insurance policy. Okay, so we've erased the organ and we've bounced the double track vocal and effect onto now channel 8. So these three were bounced, which are now, and now they're all there. So we've got the thick double track vocal but with the effect blended in. And what was nice while I was doing it is on the Hangxiety's Home tagline, I boosted the effect like that, which works really nice in the track. So, absolute pain in the arse to have to redo the organ, but it's worth it and a decision I just had to make. I could so easily, when I dumped it all into my DAW, could so easily have just overdubbed a couple of vocals, mixed it onto the reel-to-reel through this desk. Wouldn't have made really any difference, but just didn't, you know, you start a track out like this, I want these faders, I want my fingers on these faders, I want it coming off the 8 track and I want it going onto the 2 track. So let's get on with this organ again. Okay, so here it is on track 5. So we're looking pretty good again now and everything's coming together. Of course, redoing the organ when I'd already got it perfectly here was slightly difficult because it's never going to quite be as good in my eyes because I'd got used to this one. Now I've tried to do a carbon copy where the original organ was on 8. I really liked, even though I was improvising at the time, what I was doing at the end of the track. Well, luckily there's no vocals, so I managed to keep what was happening there at the end of the track. So the organ is going to be switching tracks, hopefully seamlessly in the mix. But then what I've done with this one here is I've started to copy what I was doing at the end there as sort of closely as I can, but I'm actually going to pan it there on the fade out, and you're going to have like this wide spread organ. Here we go, some backing vocals, and then the full track is going to be done. Backing vocals, so I'm going on to tracks 6 and 7. I'm going to be using the same microphone, I'm going to get that set up, and I'm going to be using pretty much exactly the same as the lead vocal, which is using the preamp on here, and then we're compressing and reverb straight onto the track. And I'm going to double track the vocals, backing vocals, and I'm going to double track the backing vocals with a couple of additional harmonies that differ between the two, and that's about it. Beyond, I'm wrong, alone, 'cause you know I'm so bad. Woke home. Let's take a look. Double track. I'm so bad when I awoke. Anxiety's home. Now bear in mind these are going to be really subtle. I count them all. Texture. How many I had. Here's one of the harmony bits. And now I'm poor. 3-part harmony. My feeling is glad. Oh, I'm so beyond. But they'll just be tell me I'm wrong. Like that, a texture. Then leave me alone. Certainly won't be in your face. You know, I'm so bad. Just wanted to outline this little bit in the middle 8. Which I thought was quite nice. And there we go, 8 tracks, all done. We're ready to mix. Okay, so before we get on with the mix, I'm just going to insert the proper audio coming from the Tascam 38 8-track, and I'm going to whistle through each of these just so you can hear the full quality of the individual elements. Again, this is from people suggesting, can't you put the real audio instead of it coming out the speakers in your videos? And while that would not be possible while I'm actually making the tunes, I can stop, like I did with the VHS earlier, for a moment and play you something in the video and insert it in afterwards. So let's just go through, see what's on the tracks, and I'll hit play now and record on my computer, as that's the only way you're going to hear it. And now I'm poor, not feeling as glad. Oh, I'm so beyond. Tell me I'm wrong. Then leave me alone. 'Cause you know I'm so bad when I awoke. Anxiety's home. Right, so sending out to the final tape, we've got all the music there up to track 5 in bus number 1 and 2, which is stereo bus, enables the panning, and then the vocals to 3 and 4. So we only have 4 buses on this, basically 2 stereo buses if you're doing it like this. And then I've got the backing vocals panned off a little bit and the main vocal down the middle. And EQ choices, I'm rolling off some of the low end and boosting a little bit of the mid-high on the main track. It's just a little bit of scooping out needed doing. And the backing vocals are EQ'd to sound different to the main vocal, just so they sort of blend a little bit nicer. So I'm going to take the output of there, which is going, the main output, which is going to my monitors. The output of that now is going to go to my 2-track. We're going to be getting levels here, but we flip from bus mode, which is all the buses levels, to monitor mode, which is the final master fader. So we're going to be getting, you know, a nice signal there hovering around 0 VU, and then we're going to be incoming down here to 0 VU, hitting record. The output of this is then plugged into my monitors. Okay, now we are mixed down 1/4 inch reel to reel at 15 inches a second. I feel like 7.5 is sometimes a bit more vibey, a bit more tapey, but I wanted to go for the best possible quality with this track, particularly, you know, when you're using bouncing down and things like that. So as you can see, the 8-track is off, all the outboards off, and the desk's off, which means this is just connected straight to my speakers, and we've got a final mix here now that I'm incredibly happy and satisfied with. So I'm going to play the full finished mix for you now, and I'll see you at the end for a little conclusion.
Things from the night
Okay, there we go then. So I hope you agree with me that that's probably the best sounding tune that I've ever recorded. I put together, in the all analog way. And, it just becomes a process now. So I've done a lot of videos with all these techniques before. And it's just, fill up the 8-track with a nice rhythm track with some effects printed to tape. We mix that into a satisfying mix to build on the overdubs via the VHS, then back onto the reel-to-reel, therefore freeing up tracks, and we fill it up with vocals and a couple of bits, and then we just mix it down to 2-track, and it's done. It's kind of a simple process when you break it down into lots of little pieces, but once you start working in this way, it just becomes the way that you make records. And for me, I absolutely love it. It's really satisfying. I'm trying to hold on to that kind of real, pun intended, integrity of how records used to be made and how what you're actually hearing is what you're hearing. I'd be laughed out of a modern recording studio if I mentioned most of this kind of way of working. People just want plugins. People just want that immediate thing. Modern music making, generally, don't jump on me in the comments because obviously there's plenty of good stuff out there still, is quite talentless, and I feel like the computer does it pretty much all for you. And so that's my allergic reaction against all that and why I do this, because I just want to live in that kind of world where, it's just real. Anyway, I hope you like the tune, of course. Now, I couldn't have done it without the help of Joe and Chris, fantastic musicians, turning up to a proper studio, if you've got a small home studio like this, to do drums and work with other musicians is generally the best way, in my opinion, to make a record like this. And then you bring it back here and you can do your isolated overdubs and your effects, and I think the results speak for themselves. Now, if you like my music, links are below to my Bandcamp, my Spotify, and also if you want to work with me, I am a professional keyboard player and I can record my pianos and organs all in this studio. I have a business called Pro Vintage Keys, and I've been working with artists for the last couple of years with that, and it's been going really well. And, if you like my vibe, then please get in touch and hopefully we can work together. All right, that's it for today, and I'll see everyone soon. Thanks very much. Cheers. Bye.